Hey friends, Ernie here, also known as the Trader of Futures. Here with a volumetric analysis for Bitcoin for the beginning of June, heading into the summer months. This is going to be exciting because the middle of that summer, I'm predicting a crypto crash. Crypto crash! What's going to be the impetus for this crypto crash? Well, I believe it's going to be because of the bad news that's going to be coming from the FATF, the financial and analytical arm of the G20. They've been tasked with coming up with proposed regulation across the G20. And of course, this is not going to have or be received very well, in my opinion. And any regulation couldn't possibly be received very well. So there are a number of different scenarios that I want to look at. Just a few scenarios that I want to look at on how Bitcoin might behave going into there. Now, this chart right here shows a big, huge wedge that appears to be forming. Now, what I've done is I have the volume profile on the right, and you'll see that I've mapped out the market structure with red being high value nodes, low being low volume wells. And just as a recap, the high value nodes price tends to be attracted to it, and the low volume wells price tends to be rejected from it. So here we are near the bottom of this big, huge node here. And of course, here's the big bubble. And you know, it's interesting. This pattern that we're exhibiting is almost like a ball dropping off a table, and we have this big first bounce, which you can call the dead cat bounce, the second bounce. The question is, are we going to do a third bounce? And what will happen is that third bounce then, is this just one big bear flag and then we move down? Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. Are we going to come up here and do another small bounce, kind of like a little harmonic pattern? And then finally we get to that apex and we decide, oh, what are we going to do? We're going to fall off the cliff or we're going to go straight up to the moon? I don't know. Nobody really knows. So that's why we provide scenarios, right? You know, and we'll take either way. Either way is good. If it goes up, we'll be prepared. We'll have accumulated. If it goes down, hey, another opportunity to get in low and then try to figure out whether or not this crypto market is going into some sort of secular bear market for some length of time until all this regulatory stuff is figured out. We need to really wash out those altcoins. I mean, the plethora. I mean, it's 14, 1,500, 4,000, I don't know, 5,000, a million altcoins. I would say that 50 is probably too much. What we really need to be concentrating on are distributed applications, or dApps, in the future, and an infrastructure. Until we have that infrastructure, the public ledgers and private ledgers that dApps can be built on, and there's interoperability between them, and there's common interfaces and standard ways of doing things, some cooperation, it's just not going to, we're not going to realize the potential of this decentralized economy that we're all dreaming of. Also, I think there's a lot of cultural issues and how this is all going to fit inside of the various first world, second world, and third world countries. How will they all be able to take advantage of it? Where will the benefit really arise from? It's a big question. Really big question. And is the world even ready for decentralized applications? I think it is. At least the lower worlds, the second and third worlds are definitely ready there. The first world countries, they're so ingrained in what they have. There's going to be a lot of friction. So let's go on to some closer time frame charts. This is a daily chart showing the big bubble since the beginning of the year, since the end of last year and the beginning of this year. Now we're going to zoom in a little bit on this wedge. And you can see at the bottom here, this is again is a daily chart. We had a bullish engulfing candle, and we're starting to realize that that reversal from that bullish engulfing candle. We are hitting really, really strong resistance here with this low volume well. And so my best case scenario, in my opinion, are these blue lines. So we're going to come up here, probably find some incredible resistance, and then start moving down to this very strong value node here. Now there are two possibilities. We can move straight through this value node and then down to this second value node, skipping right through this big volume well here. Another scenario is that we come down through the value node, maybe hang out there, provide a consolidation, come up and down, and then maybe retest this big volume well here, and then come down again. Now, that's like the weakest scenario. I mean, that is my best guess scenario, but it doesn't really follow in line with this whole idea of this sort of harmonic pattern that just keeps on diminishing. But it also says that if the harmonic pattern is true and we do come up to the top of this channel, there's definitely support for it. We have a lot of volume up here, and so that could attract price, and continue to go up. But it's, you look at this and you say, look, we're at about 7,700. For what reason? What possible reason could we be going up to 9,000? I mean, where's the value? What's the reason? What's the impetus? Is it just because that's price action? I mean, there are no new people coming into the market. Is it, the thing is, if it does go up there, it's got to be all fake, as this last move up here was completely fake. All of this was just all manufactured by whales and other concerns. Now, whether that be exchanges, I don't know, but I expect that's my proposition, that it was exchanges and whales that coordinated to push this market up, but they failed, and we drop right down. Now, are they going to try to do it again? One last ditch attempt? But see, this big purple line, this is when the FATF, the G20 arm, is going to bring out their findings, and at least right in this area. I don't know if it's going to be this exact date. Maybe it's actually going to be on the 21st. I don't know. Something like that. But that seems to correspond very nicely with the apex of this wedge. So, maybe we do try to push it up there again, and then it comes down here, and then right at this point, we then make that big dump. All seems to fall in line, with the frequency and everything, the periodicity. It looks natural, right? But I'm just wondering, how are we going to get up there unless we get pushed up by whales? Unless we get a manufactured pump, a big pump and dump. That's what, there's a good reason. A pump and dump. We want a pump and dump. Pump and dump that sucker. All right? Yeah. Okay. Maybe, we really have to, if they're going to pump, they need to do it now. Seriously. Get through this volume well, get up here to this high value node where there will be some stickiness, and then that will give them another platform to possibly launch them maybe another, 1,000 points or so. So, or 500, 700 points or so before we just dump again because everyone realizes that there's no value and they can't sustain it. So that's those are my scenarios. This is my best scenario. We just simply kind of waver here until we get to the D20 and dump, or we continue this harmonic pattern, this big wedge, and then we dump. Either way, we're dumping, man. We are dumping. And then finally we'll get ourselves clean of all those filthy, rotten, smoldering, rotting altcoins. Need to clean house. See you next video.